AITA for getting revenge on my best friend at his wedding when he ruined mine. I, 27M, have a best mate of 20 years, 27M, who we will call Luke. We have practically grown up together, and we considered each other family. In the past couple of years, I have begun to kind of resent him, more on this later. But we have gone through so much together, I regarded him as a brother, so tolerated him. We are part of a close circle of friends, and we have all known each other since primary school. As such, we have been on many holidays together, lived together, some of us went to the same uni. I guess the point I'm trying to make is we're all really close, and trust each other with a lot. Some things super personal and intimate, because we think of each other like family. To the point, I met my now wife Beth, 27F, 5 years ago at uni at a coffee shop, and I fell hard. We moved in together after we graduated, and I proposed to her after we were dating for 4 years, and it was one of the best days of my life. I had done some things I'm not proud of when I was younger, lots of partying, drug dollar, drinking, and the stuff which usually follows all that. And since I turned 20, I really tried to be a better person and make better decisions with my life. Luke also met his now wife, 27F, Claire, at the same time as Beth, and Claire were also friends, but they started dating around a year after us. This meant as a couple, we were really close. We did a lot of things together as couples, and made some good memories, and bad ones. After our 2-year anniversary, we met up with Luke and Claire for dinner at our place. We were drinking and having a good time. We went round the table saying things, and it fell to me last. I told a lie, as I had not yet disclosed my prior transgressions to Beth yet, and I was waiting for the right time. Wrong of me, I know, but part of me was scared what might happen if I did. And of course, Luke knew this. He decided to bring up one of the times I did something stupid on a night out, and ended up getting arrested. As you can imagine, Beth was not happy with this, and just to make it worse, Luke then decided to rattle of 3 other times that I had again done something dumb. I don't really want to make them too public. As I said, I'm not too pleased about them, but rest assured, if you were getting blindsided by this info, you would not be pleased. Anyway, that ended the dinner awkwardly, and Beth was mad at me for not telling her this previously, and she went to stay at her parents'. This is what started my hatred of Luke. I accept my part in not telling Beth about this, because I knew it was wrong, but someone who I considered family didn't even give me the opportunity to tell my future wife about this in the right way, and just blindsided us both. I let it slide, because all I really cared about was Beth, and part of me knew I was more to blame for this than he was. Me and Beth made up, and I told her about all the other things I did, and regretted, and what I have been trying to do since to make up for it. The biggest problem with Luke is that he will always put himself first. He never seems to think or care about what other people want or may think about something, as long as it benefits him, or he thinks it's funny, he will do. For example, he will ask to borrow money, but if you ever went to him for something, even as low as £5, he will make some excuse why he can't. He likes to make very personal jokes about people. I am a short guy at 5'6", got screwed there, and he will always make jokes about my height. I am usually okay with this because people have been doing it for over 20 years and I can see the humor, but he has no idea where the limit is and will always carry on no matter the situation, even if he can see it is making me physically uncomfortable. If I was to make a passing joke about his hair, then he would get all moody and sometimes violent. Fast forward a year and a half, and me and Beth are in a great place. We had just moved to London for better career opportunities, and I proposed to her shortly after we moved, and thank God, she said yes. I decided to make Luke my best man against my better judgment, as my parents were very keen on it and we honestly needed their money to pull it all off. Coming up to the wedding, I spoke to Luke and Claire specifically, and asked them, not just as a friend but as family, not to mention one of the things that happened on our lad's holiday in his best man speech. In summary, we need up doing a lot of drug, alcohol and partying, and me and one of my other mates, in our haze, ended up getting a holker. Not proud of this, but at least this time, Beth knew about it beforehand, but my family did not, and I wanted to keep it this way. I am not super close to my family, primarily because they are very opinionated and will always give me their opinion on personal things and get annoyed with me when I don't agree, even if it's something which does not concern them in the slightest. He apparently understood and said he would not mention it. Well, no surprise here. On what was supposed to be the best day of our lives, Luke ruined it by mentioning this very thing. Honestly, when it happened, I was not surprised. We was laughing while talking about it, and when he glanced at me, he could see the rage in both mine and Beth's eyes. In an awkward 5 mins, no one laughed at any point in his speech, and when he sat down, he was visibly embarrassed. My so-called brother did the very thing I asked him not to do on our wedding day. My family was not best pleased with this information and did not hesitate to make that clear to me after the dinner, and my 86-year-old grandparents, who were the only family I was really close to, left early. I was crushed by this and consumed with rage, but I did not want to spoil my wedding, so I asked Luke and Claire to leave, and sensing my mood, they, thankfully, obliged. The rest of the wedding went all right, but after the speech, it was already ruined for us, as everyone wasn't really in the mood anymore. My family were obviously pissed about that story, and my friends were pissed at Luke for blatantly ignoring what I asked of him. I didn't speak to Luke much after the wedding, as he could sense I was done with him, but Beth kept in touch with Claire, which I was okay with because I knew this wasn't Claire's fault. Anyway, on to the good bit. Last week was Luke and Claire's wedding. When planning the wedding, Luke asked me to be his best man for his wedding to extend an olive branch. Note that at no point did he apologize for what he said or accepted he was wrong. I agreed, not because I cared about him in the slightest, because I was going to do to him the very thing he did to me. Vindictive, yes, but I didn't care. He ruined the best day of our lives because of what? His ego? There was literally no reason to do what he did, but he did it anyway. When Luke was 18, on a night out, he got with an older woman who was married with 3 kids. The husband found out and tried to fight Luke, but he got the better of him and ended up sending the guy to the hospital. Safe to say, they got a divorce, and Luke practically destroyed a family and had no regrets. The best thing about this story was, he didn't actually tell me not to mention it, and I knew Claire would never know about it. She grew up Catholic, and whilst is not a practicing Christian, her family are. So on the day I stood up and shattered his world. I looked him right in the eye as I started it, and I could see the smile drain from his face when he knew where it was going. When I finished, it was just as awkward as my wedding, but I sat down with confidence because I knew everyone there knew why I shared that story. I enjoyed the rest of the wedding with my mates, who all supported what I did, not their girlfriends and fiancés, but can't win everything. Luke did not look at me once after, as he knew there's nothing more to say between us. A week on from the wedding, I have not spoken to Luke at all, and don't want to. I apologized to Claire in person, as it was her wedding day too, and I did feel it wasn't fair on her to be caught like. But I explained how I felt about Luke and what he had done at my wedding, the dinner that night. Beth and Claire had the same opinion. They understood why I did it. But they're not really happy. I didn't tell them about it. Luke's and Claire's parents called me the day after and screamed down the phone, calling me a AH for exposing Luke like that. But I laughed back at them and reminded Luke's parents that they were at my wedding and saw what he did, and it was rich for them to rip me a new one, despite their son doing the same thing, and them saying nothing to me about it on the day of after. I don't think I am the AH here. Sure, immature, I will accept, but I do have to ask, am I?